Please join me in welcoming home Roxanne Hunt.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I have to tell you, I am so happy to be back. It feels like home. And I have to tell you another story. I was so happy to be here this morning that before first service, I needed to use the little girls' room. And I actually went into the little boys' room. That's how at home I feel. And luckily it was early enough. There was only one unsuspecting gentleman in there, and it was our own Al Goldman. And I walked in and I saw him. And the first thing, I didn't say this to him, but this is what wanted to come out of my mouth. We are an open, welcoming community, welcoming our diversity. That's the first thing I thought of. Luckily, I'm proud to say this, Al was at the end of the service where he was washing his hands. So I can actually look him in the eye and say, "Mwah, it's all good." Truly, I really am so excited to be here. You have to understand what an honor it is to stand up here in front of you and to feel all this love and this beautiful energy. It's incredible. It moves me greatly. Many of you I know, many of you I don't know, and those who I don't know, I hope I will know you very soon. So Reverend Marty asked me to speak on a wonderful topic that I'm so passionate about, self-acceptance. The way that I see self-acceptance is it's the precursor to self-love, right? You have to accept yourself before you can truly love yourself and be who you were always meant to be. So I'm going to use the terms interchangeably today. We're going to talk about self-acceptance, but we're also going to talk about self-love. Put your hand on your heart. One of the most profound things somebody said to me many years ago was, I want you to think about this and take it in. You have a heart that's beating. Now figure out why. Isn't that thought-provoking? So I want to start off today with asking you 4 questions. How many of you have read The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz? It's a wonderful book, and if you have not read it, I recommend highly that you do. So I'm writing a book as well, and hopefully next time I'm at the center, next time I speak, my book will be published and you can actually read it and look at it. I'm excited about that. But in my book, I have 4 questions that I ask. And I want to pose those questions to you now. You don't need to raise your hand and you don't need to verbalize the answers, but I just want you to really take these to heart and think about them. Okay, you ready? Question number 1. Do you know what your gifts and talents are? Do you know what they are? Number 2, why are you here on the planet? Not because your mom and dad had a son or daughter and they bore you. That doesn't count. In your soul, why are you here on the planet? Do you know why? Number 3, do you accept your strengths and, there's the biggie, and your weaknesses? It's easy to love your strengths, but not so easy to love your weaknesses. Number 4, I think is the biggie, probably the biggest one of all. Do you know how to put yourself first most of the time? That is such a biggie because in this world we live in, we're all taught, what are we taught? Help others first, right? Have you heard that a lot? Now, I am by no means saying we shouldn't be helping our fellow man. We absolutely are here to do that. But I'm telling you, unless you are Mother Teresa, and I'm not anywhere near, bless her heart, Mother Teresa's level of amazing spiritual enlightenment that she brought to this planet. But unless you're Mother Teresa, unless you learn sooner than later to put yourself first, you're going to get either really sick, really angry, really depressed, really resentful, or really depleted. And guess what happens when that happens? You have nothing left to give. I want to share something with you. It's a little personal, but it makes a good point. Now, this may be news to some of you, but I'm not perfect. I'm really, really not. And When I was married for 13 years. I went into this marriage thinking, gosh, to be a good wife, I need to be of service. I need to cook every day. I had a whole list of things that I needed to do. I was there to serve my husband. Oh my gosh, I could go on for hours telling you all the things I thought that a good wife was supposed to do. So you know what? I did them. Boy, did I do them good. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do and then some. I served with all my heart, and guess what happened? Just like I said earlier, I started to feel a little depleted. And after several years, I started to feel a lot depleted. Thank heavens I didn't get sick, but I did gain about 40 pounds. I got a little resentful, and I got empty. Got very empty. Now, the interesting thing is, my then husband never asked me to do any of those things. He didn't expect me to do them. It was my expectation of myself to give and give and give. But what I did was I gave at my own expense until I got depleted. And then guess what I did? Now that I think back, this is so goofy, but I know some of you can relate to this. I geared all my resentment towards him. Isn't that the craziest thing you've ever heard of? And there were some other problems. I won't go into those. It's not necessary. But do you see what I'm saying? When you don't take the time to fill yourself up, sooner or later that's going to happen. You know, and my mother said something very wise many years ago. She said, she was my greatest teacher and mentor. I wish you all could have met her. Beautiful, insightful, loving, loving woman. She said to me, she said, honey, when you grow up and you get married, she said, children are very important. But she said, do not put your children first. Now, some of you may be in your chair shrieking when you hear that. She said, put your spouse first. Because she said, if there's no relationship between you and your spouse, there's no foundation for your children. Very, very wise woman. So, this is really intriguing to me. The airlines and the financial planning companies have something in common. What do you think that is? Kind of an interesting analogy to make. So, what do the airlines tell us when there's an emergency? What are we supposed to do? Put on our face masks first, right? Because when we have oxygen, when we have energy, when we're still upright breathing, not only did we help ourselves, but we can help everybody else on the airplane if we need to. What a great idea. And the financial planning companies, what do they tell us? Pay yourself first. If you ever want financial security, financial stability, you know, we do have to pay bills. I realize we all have financial obligations. But they tell us to pay ourselves first. They obviously know something that we don't know. And I think that those are very, very wise thoughts. Giving to others is certainly so important. But giving to yourself first, definitely more important. You know, I think in this country we have an epidemic of low self-esteem. Would you agree? So many people hurting so deeply from not feeling good about themselves. Lack of self-acceptance, lack of self-love. And, you know, we have an increase in teen suicide right now, huge increase in teen suicide. Suicide rates are up in general. Alcoholism, drug abuse, Prozac, you name it, in an attempt to fill oneself up. And those things don't work for very long. They're a quick fix. They really don't keep you going for too long. And to me, suicide is the ultimate example of narcissism. Let me take a minute here and talk about some definitions. So we hear the word selfish, right? None of us want to be selfish. That's got a negative connotation. But you know, truly, dealing with self is what selfish means. We get confused between narcissism, which is total disregard for other people, and being selfish, which I think is very, very, very healthy. More of us should be selfish. We'd be healthier, happier, more robust, have more to give to the planet. And then the other word we hear used a lot is selfless. And somehow we want to give ourselves a badge of honor for being selfless. Now, there are times when it is wonderful to be selfless. You hear stories of people running down onto a train track to save an animal, or a homeless person that got stuck down there. Those are beautiful acts of kindness that just warm our hearts. But again, Selfless means disregard for self. And over time, I absolutely promise you, if you continually do that, you are going to become empty and you'll have nothing to give everybody else. So in the case of suicide, that to me is the ultimate loathing of self. How can it get any worse than that? Total narcissism, disregard for how others left behind are going to feel. And my personal belief is that we never die, we just change forms and we go somewhere else. Kind of like going on vacation. How cool is that? Except you don't have to pack your bag and save your money and stress. You just naturally stop breathing and you go to this next, whatever it is, next wonderful place is my belief. And I often wonder when people commit suicide and they want out, they're in so much pain, so much self-loathing, when they get to where they're going and they wake up, the first thought is, oh my gosh, I'm still me. I brought me with me. I wanted to leave me behind. But the truth is, you can never run from yourself. There's nothing you can do to run away from yourself. So I wish I could stand in front of every person who's ever dreamt about suicide or planned it and talk to them and let them know that's not going to be a fix either. How depressing is that? You can't even kill yourself and get away from yourself. You're stuck, baby. You're stuck. So it behooves each of us to figure out who we are, to love ourselves for who we are, and to do that fully and better than we ever thought possible. So rather than just talk about this self-love thing, I thought it would be really helpful to give you some ideas and some practical things you could do. Some of these are fun, some of them are a little more serious, but I want to share those with you now. So the first one I want to talk about is, and you've all heard this before, what do we do frequently when someone gives us a compliment? What do we do? Answers.
Oh, stop.
Yeah, oh, stop. Oh, really? Thanks for telling me my hair looks great. I haven't washed it in 5 days, and I got up late this morning, and I needed hair. Why do we deflect compliments? Every time you do that, you diss the magnificence of who you are. And the interesting thing is, you don't even need to agree with the compliment that is coming your way. All you have to do is receive it. So here's what I want you to do next time someone pays you a compliment. Look them in the eye and say, thank you. Thank you so much. Doesn't that feel better? Don't you think the other person feels better rather than deflecting all of their positivity away? Because that's what you're doing. So knock it off. You look beautiful. You radiate. Come on.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. See, you guys still need a little help on that. This is a really fun one. So there's a gal that I see on a regular basis, wonderful, wonderful person. But her self-esteem is about this high, and she's lovely and kind, but she's the only one who doesn't know it. So I get these crazy ideas. I'm a life coach, one of the things I do, and I wake up at night, this is goofy, and I think up things, little tools I can give my clients that are empowering and that'll make them feel good about themselves. And I decided I couldn't wait for the morning to come, so we'll call her Susie, so I could text Susie, and this is what I said. I said, good morning, Susie. Happy birthday. Well, she immediately texted back. She said, it's not my birthday. And I said, you know what? I said, what do you normally do on your birthday? And she said, I don't know, celebrate me. And I said, that's why I'm wishing you happy birthday, because I want to celebrate you today. Why do we need to wait for somebody's birthday to celebrate them? So I challenge each one of you out here to just wish somebody happy birthday, and when they say it's not my birthday, say, but I'm celebrating. I'm so glad you're here. Isn't that cool? Not a fun thing to do? This is a really fun one. So I get asked to perform a lot of weddings. I'm not a minister, but I am a wedding officiant. I get asked to do a lot of them. And one of the coolest things, I think this should be mandatory before anyone gets married. I think you should have to go through a ceremony to marry yourself. Now, what I mean by that is all the commitments we make to another person. I'll stand by your side. I support you. I love you no matter what. Wouldn't it be cool if we could deflect all those things inward and not just say them, but really mean them in our hearts? How cool if you were your own best supporter, if you always stood by your side, if you said loving, kind words to yourself. So I'm going to offer this. If any of you want to get married, call me. Oh, that didn't sound right. I'm a single girl. Let me change that. Maybe if the right person asks, I would say yes, but that isn't what I meant. What I meant was, if anybody here would like to do a commitment ceremony to themselves, I would be honored to assist you with that. You even may want to buy a ring, get a little piece of jewelry to commemorate the day, whatever it is. We'll have a little toast to celebrate you. That's an important thing to do. All right, and this is a really fun one. I wish we had time to go around the room and ask every single person what they do that's not self-loving, that's dysfunctional. I'd love to hear what each of you do. Because we all have stuff, right? Some of us do worse things than others, but even things like overeating, too much shopping, too much television, those are all non-loving things. I'm not saying that you can't do those things sometimes, but if that's how you're spending the majority of your time, that's a sad day. It's a very sad day. So one of the things I want to talk about now is I want you to really think about the last blow-up you had at home. And if it didn't happen at home, then maybe it happened at work, maybe it was with a parent, maybe it was with a child, a friend. Think about what that was. And I don't mean yelling, screaming blow-up, because most of us aren't that way. But when did you have a disagreement with someone, or they did something that upset you so much that you got a big emotional charge? Okay, so everyone... Maybe it was this morning for some of you. For me, it was seeing Al in the bathroom. But anyway. Poor Al. He's just such a nice guy, and I'm having fun today. So the reason I wanted you to think about this blow-up is the first thing we want to do is feel vindicated. We want to make the other person wrong. We want to defend our position. We want to tell them why what they did was so awful. But I'm here to tell you, to whatever degree you feel that emotion and that need to lash out, guess what? It's not about the other person. Yes, they were the trigger. I'll give them credit. They were the trigger. And they may have done something senseless. They may have done something thoughtless. I'm not putting them off the hook. But the degree of your reaction lets you know that there's something in you that's absolutely screaming to be looked at and screaming to be healed. So instead of venting on that other person, I do recommend that you should talk about it and tell them what upset you about what happened. But rather than make them wrong and go off on a tangent, when you find yourself so upset and so emotional about something, ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? And I promise you, if you'll do this series of self-inquiry, asking yourself questions, why did I react this way? Why did what he or she said invoke such deep feelings? Oh gosh, it was because when I was younger, I never got the confirmation I needed at home that I was worthwhile. If you keep questioning back and back and back, you'll get to the bottom of it. Then you can heal. So the person that just ticked you off royally, you should thank them. Plus, it'll really confuse them. The next thing I want to bring up is tell a different story. So what I mean about this is some of us say, I don't have enough money. I have health problems. I'm kind of homely. I don't know what to do. You know what? Those are just excuses. Tell a different story. Why don't you tell this story? You know what? Because I'm not very attractive, because I don't have enough money, because my parents treated me this way, because I had this terrible health problem, I overcame it. And this is what I learned. Think of Nelson Mandela. What about Oprah? Helen Keller. Look at the adversities they overcame, and their mess became their message. Think about that. Their mess became their message. And the same can be for each one of you. Make a commitment to yourself today to never do anything or engage in anything less than your heart's desire. Isn't that a beautiful thought? If you make that commitment to yourself, you will feel such joy, such happiness in your heart. In just a moment, I'm going to show you a quick clip that Raj is going to show for us. And the woman on this clip is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. She's full of life. She's energetic. She's so wise. She even walks in the bathroom sometimes, in the men's bathroom. She's a powerhouse, but I want you to listen to this clip. I've called it Unleashing Your Greatness, but this is probably the best technique I have to bring about self-love. And she looks a lot like me, by the way. So being a life coach, I'm always looking for perfect tools that I can give my clients that will enable them to be prosperous and abundant and happy. And I got a download one day about something. I was having a good day, actually. And what I decided to do was call 5 of my friends. And if you would have been one of those 5 friends, this is the message you would have gotten on your cell phone this day. Hi, how's your day going? It's Roxanne. Hey, I've got a special favor to ask you. What I want you to do is I want you to call me, and what I need you to do is tell me how wonderful I am. I need to know that I'm pretty. I need to know that I'm prosperous. I need to know I'm abundant. I need you to go into great detail. I need you to embellish it. And you can lie if you want, but I just don't want to know about it. Make it believable. And I need you to do it today. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. Bye. So I left 5 messages like that. And one by one, all the messages came in. And I have to tell you, those were some of the most amazing phone messages I've ever had. And I kept listening to them all day long, and I was reveling in this inflated sense of self-worth, and it felt so good. You know what? We're all so quick to do the self-deprecation thing, to beat ourselves up. Why do we think it's such a bad thing to ask people to tell us that we're good? Because we are. And you know what? If your friends won't do that for you, then get new friends. The people that you hang out with the most should see the greatness in you. They should honor that. So you know what? I've got a whole arsenal of good messages on my cell phone. It was so fun that I called 10 more people and had them do it too. So at this point in time, if you try to leave a message for me on my cell phone, there's no more room left because I am so steeped in listening to how wonderful I am. So thank you. So my goal is to create a massive viral shockwave of self-love across the planet. Are you up for that? Yeah. So what I'd love everyone in this room to do, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but I really want you to commit to calling 5 people and doing this, and then challenging them to call 5 people and doing it. I want this idea to go viral. You can direct them to that YouTube if you want, if you need ideas or want to show them how goofy one person really was and actually did it. And this was back in 2008, and I still have one of the messages I got that day on my cell phone, and I listen to it all the time. And I finally believe everything she said to me on that message. It's wonderful. So let's make self-love viral on the planet. Are you in? Yeah. All right, make your phone calls, and you're welcome to call me, and I'll affirm your greatness for you. So I did some research, and I want to share with you some of my favorite quotes that I found regarding self-love. First one's by Buddha. Have you heard of Buddha before? Very, very wise soul. You yourself, as much as anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. You can't build joy on feelings of self-loathing. Ram Dass. Rumi, the Sufi poet, said this one. Your task is not to seek to love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Gary Zukav, who wrote Seed of the Soul. This is a great one. Scarcity of self-value cannot be remedied by money, recognition, affection, attention, or influence. And I might add drugs, alcohol, too much shopping, or eating. Malcolm Forbes said this one. Too many people overvalue what they are not and undervalue what they are. Sandra Bierig said this one. To accept ourselves as we are means to value our imperfections as much as our perfections. Byron Katie said this, and I love Byron Katie. She's so direct and to the point, and I can just picture her saying it like this. It's not your job to like me, it's mine. Isn't that a good one? And perhaps my favorite one. Loving yourself does not mean being self-absorbed or narcissistic or disregarding others. Rather, it means welcoming yourself as the most honored guest in your own heart, a guest worthy of great respect, the most lovable companion. Margot Anand. Isn't that beautiful? So I want you to spend some time meditating on what serves you, what patterns you're doing in your life that serve you, and what patterns that don't. We're going to do a meditation right now. So I want you to get comfy in your seat. Just relax, let it all go. We're going to do a very powerful meditation. So I want you to get comfortable. I want you to just center in and close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes and focus on the most beautiful night sky. And as you do this, you notice that one star is twinkling so brightly above all the others. See it dance. See it sparkle. See it light up the sky. Marvel and appreciate its unique abilities, its size, its shape, its brilliance, and its uniqueness. Without this one star, the sky would not be the same or as magnificent. Understand, my sweet friends, that you are the star. You have beautiful, unique gifts and talents that only you possess. You are definitely not a mistake, and you are here on purpose. You being on the planet right now is what was planned. You are here to learn about self-love primarily, and then to share what you learned with others. And if you don't know yet what gifts you bring to the world, it doesn't mean you don't possess them. It's just time to dig a little bit deeper. It's time to fully love all of who you are and shine this light to the world. And as you revel in this beautiful sense of self-worth and self-love, in your mind's eye, I want you to picture two people standing ahead of you with their back to you. They're actually wearing the same clothes that you're wearing today. They're aspects of you. One is on the left, person A, and one is on the right, person B. They're on opposite sides of the road, and they're walking away from you, not looking at each other, not talking, just pacing themselves the same steps, walking equal distance from each other. Person A on the left represents all of your beautiful gifts and strengths. Maybe you're good at giving service, baking pies, offering to do charity, always smiling at people, having a listening ear, giving money, whatever it is you're good at. That's person A on the left. That's your light. Person B on the right is your shadow side. Maybe there's part of you that doesn't like to listen. Maybe sometimes you can be quick-tempered. Maybe sometimes you're not a good listener. You cut people off. You're mean while you're driving. Whatever it is, that's your shadow side. That's person B. And as you stand behind watching these two people continuing to walk, something amazing begins to happen. Person A and person B slowly start to converge, very slowly, taking steps towards each other, still walking forward. I want you to breathe in these two aspects of yourself, finally, in a beautiful way, meeting up with each other. And as they finally converge, both of these people turn, look at each other, open their arms, and the light welcomes the darkness, and the darkness welcomes the light, and they are one. Just breathe that in. And as this beautiful aspect of you now turns around, he or she faces you, and you walk towards each other, arms outstretched, so welcoming home, all the aspects of you that you've scattered and kept separate for so long. Just breathe that in and welcome yourself home. You give love, you receive love, you are love, and so it is.